point of the season?
Surprise?
Good, bad, whatever it might be.
No, nothing surprises me. I will never be surprised again. And I mean that just because I've learned to just appreciate how hard baseball is, how much the game teaches you things, how just when you thought you've seen something or seen most of everything, you'll see something new. I mean, all those things baseball keeps showing you that. We had back-to-back no-hitters for crying out loud. I mean, so yeah, does anything surprise me anymore? Nothing. Yeah, the season and college athletics in general, and I mean, it's just a constant learning environment for us, for coaches. I go into every single day excited about what the possibilities may be. And you get on the other end of it 4 or 5, 6 hours later, whatever it is, from practice or a game, you look back and go, yep, something new happened today. And so yeah, I think you're engaged knowing that that's the fun in it, is the things that happen. A lot of parity in college baseball. So all the games have become very challenging. And so you're always ready. You're always trying to be on point and ready to go. I think that's kind of what it's done for us, is just put us in that mode. You have to constantly be ready.
Yeah. When did you as a coach or an athlete learn to not be surprised by the game of baseball? And what was that moment like?
Oh, I think probably when I arrived here as a young player inside this program in my first couple of years here, I just realized how hard it was to play at the level that I dreamed of being able to play at, especially when you grew up as a little kid here. My heroes played here, and their statistics were ingrained in my brain. And so, as a little kid, you look up to them and think they're just, how do these guys do it? And when you actually wear the uniform and play here, you want to try to be like that. And then you realize, there's only very few that can create those types of outcomes. So then I think I learned right away, okay, you just got to focus on how to play the game one pitch at a time and be a good teammate and play to win and do all those things inside the team setting. We had some Marvel superheroes that played here that set an unrealistic expectation for stats. So you learn real quick to not look at stats, and real quick how to play to win, play the right way, and then appreciate and respect the game for how hard it can be. I'd say I probably digested that my first, second year as a member of the team, 96, 97.
What was your favorite stat to recite as a kid? Do you still remember?
Oh yeah, I mean, my favorite stats were the ones created by Pete, by Rob, and by all those guys in that era, when you would pick up a stat sheet and see triple digits in multiple columns. Nowadays, to find triple digits in a baseball column for a college stat sheet is almost unheard of. Just marveled at how those guys did it. Every time we needed a big hit, they would deliver. So I just remember those things as a little kid. And yeah, I was a little stat rat.
Sorry if it's already been asked, but is the plan to work drawn back to Fridays at some point?
The most important thing has been for us is to keep the rest and recovery for the quality of the outings as the primary focus. Be nice to working back a little bit more towards the middle or start of the weekend. That would be a goal possibly. We found ourselves just in that pre-conference time and in the early conference weekends, still continuing to grow our team into its best version of itself, and in doing that, stretching guys out, right? Pitch counts were 65, then 80, then 90, then 100. You're slowly bringing your guys along, and it was super important to us to try to get all the guys that were both in starting roles and frequent relief use roles built up. And so in doing that, it just kind of moved its way around into where we're at right now. Obviously, yes, to match him up where he may be going head-to-head with somebody else's statistically more difficult to score upon pitcher in game 1 or 2 would be ideal. How we get there, we'll still have to just kind of continue to go week to week, always prioritizing his recovery, and then see if we can get there.
What challenges does this Texas team present?
Good team. A lot of new positional players contributing in a big way for them. That was inevitable with the great veteran team they had a year ago. So a lot of new players have stepped in and done a nice job for them. Looks like couple of returners in Campbell and right field, playing well. Second baseman moved to short. I've always thought highly of him. He's a good ball player. Veteran center fielder, playing really, really well for him. He's been there a long time. He's a really good athlete. Couple of transfers have plugged in nicely. Porter Brown doing a good job on left. The catcher's doing a good job. He had a big homer for him last week. So they've got a nice mix of some first-year transfers that are providing immediate help. Some kids inside their program. Third baseman has been developing as a Longhorn, and now he's playing. So he's a homegrown player that's doing a good job. So they have a good team. I mean, they always do. They're never at one time suited up against the Longhorns and not had great respect for the talent on the other side of the field and the way they're coached. So they're a good team. They're good on the mound, and it's just a classic, matchup of Oklahoma State, Texas, and the Big 12.
I know you say you've watched Texas, or you've always had a tremendous amount of respect for them, but what do you think about Lucas Gordon so far this year and challenges he presents to you guys?
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. He's been a good pitcher since he got there as a freshman. I remember the first time we faced him, I thought that kid had a lot of mound presence and some savvy. He had a know-how about him that kind of showed up early in his career there, and pitched a really nice ball game against us last year. So he's a good pitcher. I think he's competitive, strong, keeps the ball on the edge, never gives in, has a good changeup, uses a slider. He does what good pitchers do. Keeps the ball out of the middle, changes speeds, competes hard. We'll have to match it.
What's basically for you guys, in order to beat Texas, what do you guys have to do at a really high level?
We need to play the best brand of baseball that we play in our fashion, a form and fashion of who we are. When we're going good, we're clean on defense. We're not creating any extra outs for them. We're using our offensive 1 through 9 to wear down the pitcher and strike when we get some guys on base. We've got some strong kids, so hitting the ball in the barrel and doing some damage when possible, that's been something that's been part of our success. And getting the ball from a quality start into some really good, dependable bullpen guys has been a formula recipe for success for us. So I think that's always going to be the things you always prepare to do going into the weekend, and yet every weekend creates a new set of challenges based on the environment, the opponent, and some of the things you can't control. Things like weather, things like the elements with which the game is played.
Kind of going back to you said one of the things that you love about baseball is seeing these new guys kind of get acclimated and everything. And to be fair, OSU has a lot of second, third, first-year guys that are making their name known in this season. Nolan Schubart, one of those guys. Kind of, what have you thought of Nolan Schubart's season so far?
Yeah, it's been impressive. He's done a great job. I've been probably most blown away by the steadiness and maturity that he displays and how he carries himself. I think that allows him to go to home plate and be very consistent and get to his best swing so often. And when he does that, it's a really good result. So there's a strong amount of emotional maturity in him that allows him to go to home plate and show you the consistency to deliver the barrel on the right pitch, the consistency to take walks, the consistency to drive runners home. I feel like he's always under control, and I think that's a very unique quality in young players right now. So his maturity stands out. His bat-to-ball talent is very high, and if you've had a chance to see him in person, see some of the games where the ball goes after he strikes, it's been fun to watch.
What did you guys kind of talk about after the trip to Dallas, and how do you just kind of keep them from getting caught up on that and moving on?
They don't get caught up in things very long. I do. They don't. We didn't play well. It was one game. We went down and didn't get into our base operating system. Their pitchers had a lot to do with that. It's one game. Get on the bus, come home. That's it. There's no need to. As much as we seek to be perfect and win every single game, some games you don't play well. Because that was one of them.
Josh, with Nolan, I know he came on later in the cycle. Did you expect this much this early from him?
Nolan Schubert.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in the recruiting cycle, he was a Michigan commit for quite some time. Head coaching change. He was open to be recruited. We got in there late July. It was a perfect fit from the standpoint of what he was looking for, what we were looking for. So that matched up really well. His fall showed footprints that this was there. played really well in the fall. So yes, I saw things in the fall. You go, this is a different breed of cat right here. This is not your classic freshman. This is a guy that stands in the batter's box and looks like a grown-up. He carries himself like a guy that was built to hit. And the way he goes about school and training and everything else in his life, this is not a guy that's just glad to be here. This guy's got some real purpose about him. So all those things showed up real fast.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off. I assume that's rare to find in a freshman kid.
Well, I mean, let's just kind of go back and put yourself back in your freshman year shoes. There's an adjustment period for most of us of just trying to figure out being away from home and making friends and, just an adjustment to kind of figuring out where you're at and how you want to operate. And to see a young athlete come down who only had known the program for the better part of 3 or 4 weeks and then dive right in and make friends quickly but never seem to ever get sped up or distracted just showed, I think, a tremendous amount of focus for somebody to dive in that quickly. So I think that's where the separator piece was, because so many people at that stage of going to college and adjusting, there's a lot going on, let alone being able to slow it down and really focus on your sport, your schoolwork. So like I said, just a credit to him to be able to do that. I think that's a unique quality for any young person going to college, let alone combining your sport, to be able to get that tunnel vision built early in your career and be on point. And very mature kid.
Kind of going back to your teenage years a little bit when you were getting recruited, do you mind asking who was your primary recruiter?
Me.
It was.
I walked on here. I had to convince Coach Ward that I should play here. He thought it'd be better if I went somewhere else so that I wouldn't have to deal with the pressure of playing in my hometown, playing on a team where my father was a coach, because that's not always easy on kids. And he thought I should go out and see the world and do something different and take advantage of the opportunities that were out there. And by about May of my senior year, I went in and told him I wasn't interested in those opportunities, was going to come to Oklahoma State whether he liked it or not. And that was just kind of the way I think he ultimately wanted it. He wanted it to be, if I did come to school here, it would be on my terms and not something I felt pressured to do. I was not recruited to play baseball here at Oklahoma State. That was a instinct and a dream in my heart that nobody could have possibly even come close to understanding. And the people that cared about me wanted me to look elsewhere for good reasons. But ultimately, it was my choice, and I chose to be here.
Well, I asked that question because, flash forward to when now you're a coach, you and a lot of other coaches around here, they get the opportunity of, potentially a family member is there. And I was wondering, is there any differences in recruiting regarding, just a regular athlete and then, a family member? And I know that's kind of a tough.
There is differences, yeah. My parents were very mindful of me trying to be my own person and have my own path. And you only get one chance to have a vision for your future, and you want kids to chase that. But you also want them to, on a day-to-day basis, go through what they're doing without the burden of being known as the coach's son. As proud as I was to be Tom Holliday's son, and as proud as I still am today, it also carried with it a difficult thing to put into words, because a coach's son has to hear everything being said on the team about their father. You have to deal with the group that's good with what's going on with the team and the group that's not. And just trying to be one of the guys and be normal is not something you're able to do. And that's not super easy when you're 18 to 22 trying to fit in. So, do I think it's different? It is different. I lived it. Do I think it can be a great experience? Sure, it has been for many. Is it always a great experience? No. In fact, for some, it's very hard. What I would say is it's case by case, it's person by person. It has to be in that person's soul. They have to know that going into it, there are going to be some real highs of doing what you've always dreamed of doing at a place that you love with somebody around that you care about. The lows could be sometimes that inability to separate who you are from a family perspective, from the emotions that others have in the locker room towards your father. That's a lot to ask of young guys. And sometimes, if you're built like me, you're built to protect and defend. I was built to protect and defend my family and the people I love and care about. And yet here I was having to deal with that on both sides. My teammates, who I felt that way towards, and my dad. So if you want to take a deep dive into that, yeah, that's a tough one. It's not easy. That's why every coach's kid out there, I root for them like you cannot imagine, especially those that have the courage to take on playing at home.
As a coach, how have you kind of navigated, that situation of, potentially recruiting a family member or?
Well, we tried with one of them, but he got too good too fast. Try out another one maybe, see if he. It's case by case. It really is. I mean, day by day, case by case. I want every kid to have that piece to be joyful and not have to, when they walk in one section of the area, if they hear something, have to feel like they got to turn and walk away. Being a teammate and being part of a team is one of the most amazingly important pieces of the college sport experience you'll ever have. And you want that to be as pure as it can be for each kid.
Well, when you look at the jump from Nolan, obviously the McLean, the ball to strikeout ratio is far, dwindled from this point last year.
Okay.
Is that kind of a, highlight of his maturity and like you talk about his willingness to get better? Is that kind of something you guys worked on in the preseason?
Well, he's worked hard at everything. The kid takes on amazing amounts of baseball challenges, whether it's pitching, hitting, playing new positions. I mean, he's taken on so many challenges. He does it with such a team-oriented mindset. He's absolutely amazing. Putting the ball in play more is definitely one of his goals heading into the year. He's done a nice job of doing that. Is it the ultimate improvement? No, because it was not the ultimate barrier. There's going to be some swing and miss in the game now with the way people throw. People pitch differently now, so the ball's moving at a different rate of speed. That being said, the return on good quality at bats has been good for him. Continues to get better, and he just keeps amazing me with his commitment to being great, both with the bat in his hand. The 4-inning outing the other night against Baylor was a tremendous example of the guy just doing whatever it takes for our team to win, and the versatility he displays is pretty special. So I think he's made good strides for sure, and he's continuing to get better. His work ethic is exceptionally good.
In retrospect, from your standpoint, what are some of the main differences you can see from last year to this year?
I think he's getting in a swing position sooner, so he doesn't have to do quite as much at the last second. So that's helped him. In better positions at better times in the sequence to hit. Pitch recognition's good. Consistency, ability mentally to go one at bat to the next and separate those at bats, not let them get clustered where one at bat gets away from you, the next one kind of snowballs, etc. So just, I think, good physical positioning, better mental management of how he feels from at bat to at bat. The other night, I think he struck out 2 or 3 times inside of those extra innings, and yet he still walked out and pitched and didn't let that bother. That's amazing. No other player in the field is trying to separate those two things, and yet he showed that he could do that. So very special.
I remember at some point last year you told us, to come watch a home run derby between Nolan, Griffin, and I think you said Strand. I'm curious, when was do you remember Nolan's first home run?
First one here? No, I don't. I just remember the first time I saw him hit here, fall of his freshman year. He was playing football and baseball, so he could only practice here about 2 hours a week. And he would come over and hit for 30 minutes on certain days before football practice when he had enough hours of the day. And I remember batting practice thinking to myself, this is different stuff. And then obviously once we got him over here, full time, you get to see it on a daily basis. So he's got a remarkable amount of speed and strength in his body.
You talk about having to practice at football and then obviously coming over to baseball. As a coach, how hard was it to kind of manage that?
Well, it's what Nolan wanted to do. He was very committed to doing it. It's why he came to Oklahoma State. That was a big part of his priority list, was a chance to be involved in both programs at the quarterback position and in baseball. We were committed to it, and so his first year he did it. And it was part of it. We knew going in that was going to be one of the unique elements of developing him, was just doing it in and around it. So I'm glad that was important to him, because I think it's ultimately what helped us get him to Oklahoma State.
Coach, I'm writing a story about concussions, and just the differences between now and what happens when you get a concussion in 2023 versus. Can you just kind of talk about what kind of resources you have available at OSU?
Yeah, it's great. They do a wonderful job here of baseline testing all the athletes upon arrival. They do a very thorough medical history on all our kids prior to them ever taking any kind of active workout once they arrive, so they know all about them. They do a great job of screening them. That way we know coming in, okay, this is what a healthy athlete looks like, and then we can use that data if a kid ever does suffer a type of injury in any way, certainly a concussion, but making sure we don't return to action until we know that they're safe. And I'm very thankful that they're as committed and thorough in doing that, because those are scary injuries.
I was walking in Pioneer Stadium and I saw your jersey hanging up there.
Yeah.
Your football jersey, your picture was down there.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was a little bit different, the concussion protocol when
Yeah.
you were my age.
Yeah, I just used to think you were getting your bell rung. You just kept playing. I mean, I don't think anybody knew any different. I mean, this is what it was. You know, get a little stinger or get smoked and not seeing real straight. 3, 4, 5 plays later, you can kind of see again. And that was kind of part of what playing football, that was associated with football then. I don't think anybody was aware of how many of those small moments occurred. I think it's just part of, if you played football, you knew that was a possibility, and when it happened, you just kind of, I think we used to call it, got your bell rung. Yeah, I think that's what it was called.
How many times do you think you got your bell rung?
Multiple. I had 2 concussions. I woke up in the hospital twice. I got one catch in here, got kicked in the head at the Big 8 tournament. 96, got kicked in the head at home plate. Woke up in the hospital. Happened once in football too.
How'd you get kicked in the head?
I was like reaching for a ball and caught it and dove back to tag him at home plate, I think. And somehow his knee or his foot hit me in the head. My helmet had come off as I don't remember the play, but there's a picture of it. There's a picture in Daily Oklahoma of it. Someone sent it to me. I remember seeing it. So yeah, I got hit a few times.
And then the next thing you remember, you were in the hospital?
Woke up in the hospital. Yep. I think I played the next day.
Would that ever happen today?
No. I think I played against Iowa State the next day in the Big 8 championship game in '96. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe my memory scrambled. One thing for sure though, all those concussions did not damage my memory of certain elements. It just, probably just rang your bell. But yeah, you still kind of remember what happened right before and after.
MLB's opening days
Yep.
today. Are you gonna be camped in?
No, I love opening day. Love it. It's awesome. Love the highlights. Love to see his first homer. All of it's awesome.
You have a guess who hits it?
I don't know who's teeing off early. I assume somebody on the East Coast is probably playing first, aren't they?
Giants and Yankees.
Oh, we'll be here in Judson. Or Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo was the kind of guy that can hit a home run on opening day.
Do you have an early pick, I guess a projection to who can make the World Series?
I always root for the Cardinals. Always. Love Nolan Arenado. Paul Goldschmidt. Love the Cardinals. Like the Yankees, like Aaron Judge. Cardinals, Yankees. There you go.
It's gotta be a reason for the Cardinals.
Yeah. It's my favorite team for 8 years.
Drive up to Kansas, put a bet. Yankees Cardinals.
Well, I'm sure someone asked you before or after one of the games, but what did you think of the World Baseball Classic? That was
Pretty sweet.
awesome
It's
event.
pretty sweet. That was awesome.
You thought it was really good to see
Oh yeah,
that?
that's great. I mean, what a amazing. I mean, just the passion and quality of play and energy. Pretty neat.
You
You
think?
kind of have that world. What's in golf, where they call the Ryder Cup in golf, and you see the teams bond together and the countries coming in, and just the pride that's on display, and you tell how much it means to the guys playing. It's just amazing. It's awesome to see them play with that kind of like urgency. Like there's a different feel for them because it's a tournament and it carries more immediate return. That's pretty amazing to see guys in that